Let's start the drums. Yeah. Check. Huh. Maybe we won't finish it, but we can certainly give it a try. All right, let's get this started. So, welcome everybody or anyone. I guess I really haven't really introduced myself. My name is ADDAGRO. I also go by the producer name Mad Red Hot. You'll actually see all my social media on the Twitch homepage for my channel. And so today we're actually going to be starting on a new beat. I haven't decided entirely as to what I'm going to go for, but I guess I'll start it like I do any other project and start with a simple a beat. just a quick pattern here. I haven't set a BPM yet. Let me go for something a little bit more uppity. I think that's good enough. So let's see what we got. Just go ahead and just experiment. Add a couple snares here, and then just quick. Maybe we want to do this one this time around. Let's see. Maybe we'll add a little bit more bass drums to it. Okay, I think I can go with that vibe. So let's see what we got here. So we have a pretty basic beat. Let me actually lower the volume on the beat just a bit, just so you can hear me a little bit more clearly. All right, so let's see here. So this is probably gonna be something a little bit more uppity. Let's hit stop on this already, and then let's go ahead and send that to the track. And then we'll see it come up on the main sequence page here. So let's go ahead and separate it into its tracks. So if you don't remember, or if you didn't tune in yesterday, I briefly went over as to why I actually put it on its own separate tracks, as opposed to just muting the volumes for the instruments on the mixer. It's just a little easier for me for organization's sake, and for just ease of workflow. I tend to do it this way. And for anyone who's actually interested, this is what I'm using is called Reason. It's been around for quite some time, actually. I don't know exactly when version 1.0 dropped, but it was definitely when I was still like either in elementary or when I was in middle school. I started in version 3, and I was already in high school when that came out. So this is Reason, and this is Reason 11. And I'm going to be using, for the most part, I'm going to be using the built-in instruments for Reason, and I'm also going to be using a couple of the ones that they provide, like what they call rack extensions, which are essentially plugins that are they're third-party plugins that are actually available through Reason Studios. Now they changed their name. They used to be called Propellerhead storefront. So here you see me. I just already split up the drum pattern into 3 tracks. So we have our hi-hats, we have our snares, and we have our bass drum. So now if I want to mute a certain aspect of it, I can go ahead and do that from just here from the tracks. So there goes that. And for one, I typically like having a little bit of delay on the hi-hat. Let me loop this because I wanted to keep on playing it. Maybe we can add a clap to this. I'll see where I want to go with that. Just for right now, let me just go ahead and just mess around. Oops. Mess around a little bit here with the. So I haven't made any changes to the pattern. I just added a delay to the hi-hat, and I've added a bit of reverb and stuff to both the hi-hat and the snare. So that's how you get a little bit more airy sounding snare. So if you go ahead and mute both of these, you'll get the. And then without the, it's just a bit more filling. And for the most part, I'm going to be drawing in the MIDI notes through the sequencer, mostly because when I'm doing a stream, or when I'm trying to stream, I can't use the audio interface's AISO driver. which allows me to play the instrument without any delay. So it just kind of does a real time pass through of the instrument being played directly into whatever DAW I'm using. And unfortunately, that doesn't work in the streaming sense because the driver, I guess, is not supported under OBS. So there's that. So for the most part, you won't see me do much of playing around, even though you do see like the MIDI keyboard right behind me. But just for the sake of it, I'm just gonna be drawing it in, and also you can probably see what I'm actually doing instead of opposed to just trying to guess what the notes are. And like I said, I don't have any musical training. I haven't had any musical training, any formal, anyways. Um, so most of the stuff that I do is just kind of what I learned to play by ear. So there's that. So for the most part, if you were coming in here for a tutorial and stuff like that, and maybe to learn a little bit more about music theory, I don't know a whole lot. But if it sounds okay to me, then that's what I'm gonna use. For the most part, let me start working on this synthesizer here called Europa, which is a built-in synthesizer for Reason 11. It also comes installed on Reason 10, if I'm not mistaken. And there's also a couple other things that you'll just see a lot of instruments in here are kind of stuff that's already pre-built in, and also available through Reason Studios' storefront. I'm not sponsored or anything. It's just kind of what I know how to use, what I've always used. Been using, like I said, Reason since Reason 3, and that came out like 2003, I think. So it's been a while. So let's get started. So I want to go with a bass line for this. So right now we have the initialized patch, which is just a simple sine wave. So what I'm gonna go ahead and do is that I'm gonna change it into a semi-sawtooth, semi-square wave. You'll see this here. This gives it a kind of a gritty sound to it, kind of like a little buzzing sound. And I typically like my basses to be a little bit buzzy, but to each their own. I'm gonna go ahead and add a sub frequency thing. So I'm gonna add a sine wave as an octave lower. So that's gonna be our sub. And then you'll hear that it's already adding a lot more low tones to it. I'll probably bring down the volume just a tad bit on that. Yeah, so we don't want it to be super overwhelming or anything. And for the most part, I think I'm gonna want to add some unison to this, just to give it a bit more width. I want to add a little bit of release. And I might be going through this a bit quickly, but for the most part, it's just kind of stuff like I already know a little bit about synthesizers and how they work. I do actually own a few hardware synths and stuff like that, so all these knobs and stuff like that feel normal to me. If you have any experience with synthesizers, or with soft synths, some of this stuff will make sense to you. So right here I have what you call the ADSR, which is the attack, decay, sustain, and release. And this just means the attack would be the build up to the sound. So like if you're having a high attack, so if let me do this straight here, so I'm gonna increase it to almost a second of an attack, and that just kind of allows for the note when you press it on it to give it more of a pad feel, to kind of to have a kind of a build up. So if you see here, so you have that build up. For bass lines, that doesn't work all that well. I do want to keep some of an attack on it, just because I don't want it to. Sometimes if you lower it down to nil, you'll get a little click at the beginning, and that's, you don't want any artifacts. So right now I left it at like a 1.5 millisecond attack, which is more than enough for what we need here. Decay, I don't really need any because it's just going to be full on beans on terms of the sustain. And decay, all it is just like how long it takes for the when you press the note to go into where the sustain would be. But since I have the sustain set to maximum, the decay really doesn't do anything here. The only time you will actually see or hear any effect on the decay is if I were to lower the sustain to have like a lower volume. So now if I press a key, you see it's a lower volume. You can actually hear that click that I was referring to earlier. So it's just, if you want to get rid of it, just up the attack a little bit. Or you can also attack the increase the delay. So here we have the decay. For testing purposes, I'm just go ahead and set for a second, and you'll see that it goes into full volume. When it comes in full, it comes in full volume, and then it'll slowly go, or semi-rapidly go into the sustain, which was at a lower volume. So you see that it has the initial attack, and it's pretty loud. It comes in pretty loud, and then it just equalizes down to the sustain level that we had already set. But like I said, for baseline, it's not necessary. You could do that if you want to add a little bit of movement. Actually, let me just try something different because I usually have not done that. So let me put it down. 75. So not too drastic of a change, but you'll see it'll. So it'll come in full volume, and then in half a second later, it'll just equalize to normalize to what we already set the sustain, which is still like 75% full beans. And that what you hear there is just like I'm actually playing the keys on a very low octave, so this would be C0. And that's how you get like also that nifty effect of like the unison. What you hear is a unison, kind of like the phasing in between. Like this kind of just like it just moves around. It's not in steady note. There's a lot more movement going on. And that's typically what I like for my bass lines, to be a little bit buzzy, but to also have a little bit of movement, to not to be so stale. And so then we'll leave those at that for now. I think that's a good starting point. Set up a filter right now. Not too low. I don't want it to be. I don't want it to sound like it's underwater. So I want to give it a little bit more than that. So there you go. So that sounds good to me. Let's see. All right, so let's just go ahead and play it back the beat that we were working on. Maybe I'll go into a G on this one. All right, let's try it in. I want to be two. I want to go across 2 bars. And let me see here. That's the 5th note. Let me see here. I want to go with G major, G minor scale, G minor scale. Maybe. And this is right now just so I can get like a better idea of like where I want the chords to be and what like the progression should be, and it's just kind of like the way that's going already. All right, so let's have it come in at the same time as the drum pattern, or as the bass drum. So let's go ahead and isn't it displaying anything? All right, so let's see here. Oops, didn't want to do that. So what I want to do is actually want to have it come in every single time the kick drum actually plays. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. I might have to zoom in a little bit in here. And then, so alright. So now we should have like a pretty decent and the reason I'm doing it is because like as I added the decay to the bass line, so it kind of makes more sense to because then it'll come in a little bit harder, and it'll decay back down to something a little bit more soft. And actually we can increase that effect if we go into the instrument here. I want to add a little bit more to that. So we're gonna go ahead and add a little bit of modulation. So I'm adding another oscillator to this, just to give it a bit more grit to it. So now if we play it back, and I want to add some pulse width modulation to that. So I'm gonna go ahead and I've already set up LFO2 here to we're gonna change the shape of this. Oh, I meant to do it for engine 2 actually. Alright, so I filtered this a little differently. I want to add a little bit of harmonics to it. And this is something that I think it's only available for Europa. This just gives it a bit more fuzz. Can actually increase that sub oscillator a little bit more. Increase the drive a little bit. I think that's good. So let me go ahead and unsolo this. All right, let's see here now. Well, let's see what we can do. Let me go ahead and add a scales and chords here. I want to go with C, G minor. Let me go into an arpeggiator here. And this is something that's in Reason. It's called scales and chords. And essentially, it's just like it's a helping hand in terms of like if you want to know what scale you want to work in, or if you already are working on a certain scale, then what notes are good to complement that and stuff like that. This is good for somebody like me who doesn't really know a whole lot about music theory. Or if you already know some of it, it just kind of makes it easier for you just like to know. Ableton, I know, does have something like this, but they actually have it in like on their actual MIDI sequencer, where you can actually just select the scale and then work from there. I believe Fruit Loops does the same thing too. So all right, so now we have here, let's go back to a sequencer. We have here our bass line, which is a simple, very basic 4 note progression, not even chords. So we're gonna accentuate this with, I actually want to add an arpeggiator right off the back. So let's go ahead and extend this all the way. And I don't want to have it this slow, so I'm going to go ahead and increase it to C3, so then that way we can actually have... So we have that. I haven't chosen the sound yet. I'll probably end up putting a quick triangle wave just to get the mood going, and I kind of want to give it a little bit of release, just because it's going to be an arpeggiator. I kind of want some more flavor to it, so let's see here. So we want to go an octave up, maybe add some color, and then maybe decrease. No, maybe. Seems a little happy. Let me change the inversions. Kind of like the way that sounds. Let me. Alright, so let's modify this into something a little bit more that I can actually use. So like the way this sounds a lot, actually. So let me go ahead and export these notes to the sequencer. All right, so you'll see this that they've been transferred over to here. So I kind of like the way that sounds. And I kind of am getting I don't know if you guys are familiar with vaporwave or synthwave. Kind of feeling that actually. So let me go ahead and continue on with that 5. And I'm going to go ahead and actually create another Europa on here because I kind of want to turn it into kind of like a brassy sound. Like a synth brass type of thing. And then that's going to be also with saw waves here. And I'm going to do it like I did the previous one. Where I'm going to have them all 3 playing at the same time. But this time I'm not going to add any unison. I'm actually going to do like a little bit of my own unison. So I'm going to split this up into 9. So then now if I actually play something, it's a little harsh. So what I'm going to do is then I'm going to pass them all through a filter. And I'm actually going to lower one of them to non-octave. So now it's going to sound a little bit. Alrighty. I just want to add a little bit of an envelope on here. Actually, the one that's on there is actually pretty good. So this is what I'm going to be using. I'm going to have this down all the way down. Maybe not that low. Maybe down to here. Increase the drive. Maybe add a little bit of resonance. So now it should sound. I'm gonna increase the a little more, maybe a quarter of a second. So now. All right. Let me add this back here because I actually want to do it in a similar, like I said, similar manner to what we're doing with the arpeggiator. So we're gonna go with minor, but this time I'm actually just gonna have it play the chords. Gonna do it in was it the first inversion? It wasn't. So let me go ahead and do that and do 4. I want to add. So maybe just drag this down again. Unmute this clip. So I'm gonna play the same chord progression. Well, now it's gonna be an actual chord progression. Don't like that. Let me up this. I want to increase it. Oops. Oof, it's pretty harsh. So what I'm gonna do is that I'm actually gonna lower this and then increase this. Lower this an octave. Add some more release to it. I actually want to. Alright, let's see how it sounds with it all. Oof, let me mix that in a little bit better. That sounds a little. So. Alright, so that sounds alright now. Alrighty, so let's go back into here. So now we have here our chord progression, which is not too fancy. It's I like adding a little bit more movement to it, so let me go ahead and add a little bit of some stuff. Let's see that. Gonna add something else. This is gonna be a recent plugin called Antidote. Big fan of it. I'm gonna load up a quick patch that's pre-built in, and I'm gonna lower the levels on it because this is ridiculously loud. I kind of want to go with like which is I think the same as that one, if I'm not mistaken. Let me raise it to this one. It's actually a very different pattern. Alrighty, so let's see here. So alright, so I get it. So it's gonna be I apologize for the thing. It just likes to make noises. So now we can actually follow the contour of our baseline here. Excuse me for a second. Do 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 do. Huh? Um. So let's play this back. I think that's. I'm actually gonna go with the lower register. I actually don't want that. Let me pull up this one, because I think I actually might be on a different path here. So maybe I'm going to there. Oh, sorry, you guys can't see none of that. And maybe this one I'll go. Alright, so that's a little bit too low, so let's bump this up to maybe there? Let's see. Maybe I should go up here. That's not what I wanted. That's not what I wanted. So I want to add actually a bit of vocals to it. Synthetic ones. Let's see. Do I want? No, I don't want staccato. I want a little bit. I want legato. So let's go with. Do I want oohs or ahs? Let's go ahs. Alright, and I want it to build up. I kind of want to use this template. want to mix. And it's still not patty enough. I want to add a little bit more of a pad. Maybe actually lower the voices a little bit. This might seem a little boring, but I'm just kind of drawing it in. Is that even in my scale? I just don't want to sound weird, so I'm just gonna go ahead and not do chords. Let's see here. Where can I put this? I don't like where it's at. So let me go with it's F, 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 and this is that. Alright. little too high. Alright, so let's split this up into actual verses and chorus. Let me I'm gonna change up the pattern on this because it's starting to sound. It has a good groove going on, which I like a lot. So I like that it does lend itself well to some stuff. Alright, so that's that. Gonna add a little bit of reverb and stuff like that to those crashes. Maybe a little bit of that. So now we get some decent sounding stuff. Alright, so let me go back to the sequencer and gonna add a couple of snare rolls and clap rolls. Just to give it a bit more energy during the hook part. Because I think what we created was a pretty decent hook. So all the instrumentations, I'm just going to have to split them up to fit well into a verse. And then from there, possibly fit well into another different type of hook. So first things first, let me add the snare rolls. I don't know why that extended. I don't want it to do that. So let's do the following then. Let's see what we got. I'm probably gonna delete a lot of this stuff on this side. So let's just hear what we have for the hook so far. Actually, I'm gonna move it into its proper place. Because I want to have 16 bars for the verse and then 8 bars for the hook. So let's just listen to the hook. I think it needs a little bit more hi-hats, maybe a couple hi-hat rolls prior to the snare rolls. Maybe just go in here and just add a couple of them. Yeah. I'm not gonna do that to every single one. What I'm gonna do is just delete that one. So here, I'm actually gonna add them a little bit more frequently, because that's kind of where you have like a bigger snare roll. What I'm going to do right now, I'm just going to mix in some of the elements a little bit more. I'm going to expand a couple things. I don't think I need to add echo to that. Maybe some chorus. I actually didn't see that. Sorry, I'm not saying a whole lot. I'm actually just feeling this groove a lot. So what I actually have done is that I have already orchestrated it into my kind of de facto um, music, or sorry, my de facto structure for a song. Like I said in the previous episode, this is just mostly for me to be able to put it out as a concept and send it out to a couple of my friends who write lyrics and stuff like that. So that way they can have something to work with. This is not like intended to be like the final product of it all. I just kind of do this, like I said, as a kind of a proof of concept. Um, and it's easier for me to just kind of lay out the tracks. You know, it already has like something for if you want to do a break, or if you want to do a couple of hooks, string together and stuff like that. It's just kind of adding like the elements, make it easier for someone to be able to like write lyrics to. Um, but yeah, I typically follow this where I have an intro, usually 8 bars. I have a verse, have the hook, and then a second verse and a hook, and then a third verse with a little bit of differentiating stuff and just a couple elements here, like adding a break and stuff like that. And also just repeating the hook a couple times at the end, just to have a good outro. Also, slash kind of like if you want to repeat the hook or stuff like that. Just like I said, it's just like if you want to get a concept out there, it's just like a good way for me to just flesh it out and just send it out. So right now what I've created is I created the intro, which is, I have everything coming in a little bit under half volume, which if you actually talk about like the decibel levels, and that would be as 4 times less, because decibel system is in a logarithmic scale, but that's more physics talks than anything else. So I'm just kind of just not gonna bring it up. But let's see here. So we want to have, so we have our loop and we have our song. I'll just go ahead, and I've kind of already EQ'd it for the most part. As I was going along, you kind of already saw me doing something like that. If you look at my mixer here, it's very basic mixing. It's not like a whole lot of extra stuff. Just added a couple of effects on a couple of the instruments. So like a couple of reverbs here and there, a couple of delays here and there. Um, not a whole lot. And I have a bit crusher on the bass line. It's kind of just something that I like doing recently. But here we'll just go ahead and take a listen at the intro, which is like something super basic. Like I said, it comes in half volume. And it slowly builds up. And then when the verse part kicks in, it's already at full volume. Well, it looks like we have LeBron James back on. Is it the same link as before? Sorry, I didn't actually see your chat, so I don't know when you actually sent that. I've been kind of grooving. My assumption is that it would be still the same, but I could be mistaken. All right. While I wait for that, let me just go over here and I just finish up the rest of the mixing and stuff. Like I said, and also, I don't know if you guys know this. All right, he sent it. Let's see. Now it's on SoundCloud. It's called Pull Up. That is way better than what you sent yesterday. Like miles better than what you sent yesterday. Yeah, definitely a lot more concise, and definitely like it has a vibe going, and I like that a lot. It's mixed in actually fairly well too. I don't think this is your first time doing this type of stuff, is it? Um, yeah, that was actually pretty good. So which program are you using? FL Studio. Yeah, that's always a good one. Uh, you're a couple revisions behind, but that's okay. It's whatever tools you have. You work with what you got. Yeah, definitely a lot better than what you sent yesterday. Definitely can hear a vibe going on and everything like that. Like this, that's good stuff. Good stuff. Alright, I won't say much else, but like yeah, dude, keep at it. It's good stuff. I like it. So I'm gonna just go ahead and finish up the rest of this stuff real quick, because it's actually been a little bit over an hour now, and I just wanted to get a couple things done. Thanks for the follow. Um, don't know why my little SpongeBob didn't come on, but whatever. Um, but yeah, so I'm gonna just go ahead and finish this up and go ahead and do a quick listen through of it all. Like I said, not fully finished product, but it's decent. Definitely not a trap beat, by the way. I did not. This is all self-taught. All right, man. Thanks for tuning in. And I would call that pretty much complete. So I'm gonna go ahead and just save this as something. BPM is 108, and gonna call this. Uh, sorry. And then I'm gonna export this as an audio file. Oh, sorry. All right, so. Alrighty. So once again, this concludes another stream of just me just messing around with Reason 11. Like I said, nothing that I've done here is something you can't do. All of it was self-taught, so I mean, if I can do it, then anybody can really. Probably if you kind of knew me personally, you would think, or before I started making music, that I would never ever get into music. Um, I actually, kind of just do it for fun. I do have a couple of people who do request beats from me, but I don't do this professionally. So, but regardless, it's something that I enjoy doing. And like I said, if you learn something from this or even get something out of it, that's always good. Um, not one to toot my own horn or anything. It's just like I said, pretty humble when it comes to stuff like this. But like I said, if you guys need any help or assistance, if you like you want to have me listen to one of your guys' beats, maybe give my 2 cents on it, I'm all for that. Um, and yeah, so like if you ever wanted to do music, then don't let an excuse stop you from doing it. Always keep doing what you do. Um, and never give up on your dreams. Kind of like that. His name escapes me right now. The crazy dude used to be Transformers guy. Just do it. That guy. I forget his name. I don't know why it escapes me. Shia LaBeouf, Shia LaBeouf or something like that. Whatever. Um, yeah. Don't overthink it. Like sometimes you just need to take a leap of faith. When I started doing this, like it was literally kind of just like I should start doing it. Wasn't something that I dwelled on too much, or something that I came to a decision in like months and months of deliberation. It was just something that I wanted to do and that I was putting off, and that one day decided I should just do it, and I did, and now I've been doing it now for about 2.5 years, maybe 3. I started in 2016, like late 2016. Um, so yeah, I've been doing it for that long, and then now I have hundreds and hundreds of projects, and even though most of them don't ever see the light of day, but I do it, and so don't be afraid to fail, because failing is part of like the learning process, and there was a lot of times where I didn't know what I was doing, and I learned from that. So yeah, don't be afraid to jump into something, even if it's not music, if it's art or if it's painting or if it's like video editing or anything like that. Don't make excuses for it. Just kind of jump into it. Obviously, there's some stuff that require spending a couple money, like buying software or buying hardware. Um, there's always free alternatives out there. Learn to work with what you got, be good at that, and then once you start being better and actually making some sort of living out of it, or just enjoying a lot more, then you can invest in it, because you don't want to do a big round of investment into something that you're not working towards. um, if I would have bought like all the synthesizers before, I really would just look at them and just be like, I don't know what to do with any of them, and then not actually do what I want to do. So, but yeah, so just don't have an excuse. Just do it, and then you'll be happy you did. Just once you work towards your dream, then it doesn't feel like work anymore. All right, guys. So I'll call it in for tonight. You guys all have a good night, and I'll hope to see you guys tomorrow at 8. So every day at 8, except for the weekends. And the weekends, my schedule's on the actual Twitch homepage. So most of the weekdays I'll start streaming at 8, and so make this into a normal thing. All right, guys. Peace.